My husband told me not to come to the wedding, then used my credit card to pay for the entire reception. Not a small dinner, not a few flowers, not one mistake on a shared account. The ballroom, the food, the champagne, the live band, the designer cake, the gold chairs, the flowers hanging from the ceiling, even the private security at the front entrance. All charged to my business card while I was sitting at home in a plain black dress, staring at the invitation he had hidden from me. My name is Naomi Bennett Cole. That was still my name that morning. By midnight, it would feel like a sentence I no longer wanted to carry. The wedding was for Adrian's cousin, Michael Cole. At least, that was what Adrian told me. It was supposed to be a big family event, the kind where people flew in from 3 states, where aunties wore matching colors, where everyone took photos under flower arches and pretended old grudges did not exist. I had been married to Adrian for 9 years, long enough to attend every Cole family birthday, graduation, funeral, dinner, fundraiser, baby shower, anniversary, church program, and uncomfortable Sunday lunch, where his mother Patricia looked at me like I was expensive furniture she did not approve of. I had hosted them, fed them, paid for hotel rooms, covered surprise catering shortages, loaned money when someone's card declined by accident, bought gifts in Adrian's name when he forgot, smiled through Patricia's sharp comments, clapped for people who barely acknowledged me. So when the wedding weekend came, I expected to go. Not because I loved Cole family events, because I was his wife. Then, on Friday evening, Adrian walked into our bedroom while I was choosing between 2 dresses and said, "Naomi, don't come to the wedding tomorrow." I thought he was joking. I looked up from the bed. What? He stood by the doorway, already dressed for the rehearsal dinner, his cufflinks flashing under the light. I said, "Don't come tomorrow." The room became strangely quiet. The navy dress lay across the bed. The gold heels sat beside it. My makeup appointment was already booked. My hair had been done that afternoon. "What do you mean, don't come?" He sighed like I was making simple words difficult. "It's better if I go alone." "To a family wedding?" "Yes." "Your cousin's wedding?" "Yes." The cousin whose hotel block I paid for when the reservation almost collapsed. His jaw tightened. That was handled. By my card. "Naomi." "No. Explain." He walked into the room and lowered his voice, though we were alone. "There has been tension." "With who?" "My mother." I laughed once because Patricia had been tense with me since the day Adrian proposed. "That is not new. She thinks your energy changes the room." "My energy?" "You get cold. I get quiet when she insults me. She says people feel judged by you. People feel judged when they do wrong, and I remember." He rubbed his face. "This is exactly what I'm talking about." I stared at him. "Adrian, are you telling me your mother does not want me at the wedding?" He hesitated. That hesitation had ruined more of my marriage than any loud confession. Not just her. My throat tightened. "Who else?" He looked away. "Michael and his fiancée want the day peaceful." Peaceful. That beautiful word people use when they want the wounded person absent, not the wound healed. I stood slowly. "Did Michael say that?" "Naomi, don't make me list people. Did Michael say that?" He did not answer. So no. Or yes, and he was afraid to say it clearly. Both were bad. I looked at the navy dress, then back at him. "Is Cassandra going?" His eyes moved too quickly. There she was. Cassandra Vale. Adrian's brand consultant. The woman whose name had begun appearing in places it had no business being. Late-night calls, work dinners, conference trips, photos where she stood too close. Texts he turned face down, perfume on his jacket once, a soft laugh in the background when I called during a business dinner he said was almost over. "She works with Michael's fiancé on event branding," Adrian said. That is not an answer. She may be there. Maybe. She is part of the team. I walked closer. And I am what? He looked tired. Not guilty. Tired. Like my pain was extra luggage. You are my wife. Then why am I the one being left out? Because you make things tense around her. I almost smiled. Around her. Not because of her. Around her. So Cassandra can attend your cousin's wedding, but I cannot? He held up a hand. Do not twist it. I don't need to twist what is already crooked. His face hardened. I'm not doing this tonight. No, you're going to the rehearsal dinner without me. Then tomorrow you're going to the wedding without me, because your mistress and your mother find my presence inconvenient. Don't use that word. Mistress? His jaw clenched. It's vulgar. So is hiding your wife. He stepped closer. Naomi, I am asking you to trust me. No, you're asking me to disappear. He looked at the dress on the bed. You'll thank me later. That sentence did something to me. It was so arrogant, so calm, so certain that he still owned the right to decide what hurt me and what protected me. I whispered, "Get out." He blinked. What? Get out of this room. Naomi, go to your rehearsal dinner. He stared at me for a moment, then shook his head. You always make things bigger than they have to be. Then he left. I stood there for a long time. The navy dress on the bed looked foolish now. The heels, too. The makeup appointment. The hair. The small clutch I had bought. All of it waiting for a woman whose husband had just erased her from the guest list. My phone buzzed. Grace. Are you ready for the wedding weekend, or should I prepare emotional bail money? I stared at the message, then typed, He told me not to come. Grace called immediately. I answered but did not speak. What did he do? She asked. I sat on the edge of the bed. He said his mother thinks my energy changes the room. Grace was silent for 2 seconds. Then she said, Patricia has the emotional climate of a haunted refrigerator. I should have laughed. I did not. Cassandra is going. Grace went quiet again. That was worse than her jokes. Naomi, she said softly, do you want me to come over? Yes. She arrived 30 minutes later with takeout, ginger tea, and the kind of anger that made people confess before being questioned. She listened while I repeated everything. When I finished, she picked up the gold heel from the floor and examined it. These shoes did not deserve this disrespect. Grace, I'm serious. Even footwear has boundaries. I leaned back against the headboard. What do I do? She looked at me. What do you want to do? I want not to care. That's not an option tonight. I want to show up anyway. That is an option. I also want to never see any of them again. That is healthier. I covered my face. I feel humiliated. Grace sat beside me. Being mistreated is not humiliation. Pretending it doesn't hurt is. That sentence stayed. The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes and a strange heaviness in my chest. The wedding was at 6, reception at 8. Adrian left around noon. He wore a black tuxedo. He looked handsome. That made me angrier. Not because beauty mattered, because betrayal dressed well always feels more insulting. He came to the bedroom door. I was sitting at my desk in a robe, answering emails badly. I'm leaving, he said. I did not turn. Safe trip. He sighed. Naomi. I looked at him. He seemed to expect something. A fight. A plea. A question. Maybe tears. I gave him none. He said, please don't do anything today. I tilted my head. Like attend a wedding? His face tightened. I mean, don't make this worse. You already made this what it is. He shook his head. I'll call later. Don't. He left. The house became silent. At first, I thought silence would help. It did not. Silence gave my imagination a stage. I saw him walking into the church alone. Patricia smiling. Cassandra in some elegant dress. People asking where I was. Adrian saying, Naomi wasn't feeling well. Or worse. Naomi decided not to come. A clean lie. The kind that makes absence look voluntary. At 5:13 p.m., my phone buzzed with a fraud alert. Bennett ClearPath Business Platinum. $18,750 pending at La Mer Grand Hotel events. Reply yes if authorized. I stared at the message. La Mer Grand Hotel. That was the wedding reception venue. My body went cold. Before I could reply, another alert came. $9,400 pending at Belle Fleur Luxury Florals. Then, $12,200 pending at Sterling Sound Entertainment. Then, $6,800 pending at Maison Dulce Cakes. My hands began to shake, not because we could not afford charges, because they were on my business card, not our household account, not Adrian's card, mine, Bennett Clearpath. The company I had built, the company whose card he was authorized to use only for approved joint events or company-related expenses when documented. A family wedding reception was not an approved business expense. My phone rang. The bank. I answered. "This is Naomi Bennett Cole." A calm woman spoke. "Mrs. Cole, this is Marissa from the Bennett Clearpath Business Platinum Fraud Prevention Team. We are calling regarding multiple high-value charges occurring within a short period at event vendors connected to La Mer Grand Hotel. Can you confirm whether you authorized these transactions?" For a moment, I could not speak. My husband had told me not to come to the wedding, then charged my card to make the wedding beautiful. The room blurred. "Mrs. Cole?" Marissa asked gently. I swallowed. "No." The word came out small, then stronger. "No, I did not authorize them. Thank you. For security purposes, we can place an immediate hold on the card and decline further charges. Some pending items may still require review. Do you want us to proceed?" I looked at the navy dress still hanging on the closet door, the one I had not worn. "Yes," I said. "Freeze it. Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from tonight. And if someone has ever excluded you from the celebration but expected your money to decorate it, stay with this story." Because the bank call was only the beginning. By the end of that night, everyone in that ballroom would know exactly whose card had been declined. Marissa from the bank did not rush me. Maybe she heard the crack in my voice. Maybe fraud specialists learned to recognize the difference between confusion and betrayal. She asked a series of careful questions. Had I given my husband permission to use the card that day? No. Was Adrian Cole an authorized user? Yes, limited. Were event charges for a family wedding part of business activity? No. Did I want to suspend his access? Yes. Did I want a full card review? Yes. Would I be available for the next hour if the merchant attempted additional charges? Yes. Then came the question that made me sit straighter. "Mrs. Cole, do you want us to contact the merchant directly if they call for verification?" What does that mean? If the charges are declined and the venue requests authorization, we can state that the cardholder has declined approval. We will not share unnecessary personal details, but we can confirm the charges are not authorized. I stared at the wall. The old Naomi would have said no. The old Naomi would have called Adrian first, begged him to explain, listened while he said it was a mistake, listened while he said Michael needed help, listened while he said the family would reimburse me, listened while he turned my refusal into cruelty. But the old Naomi had spent too many years paying quietly for people who only remembered her name when the bill arrived. I said yes. If they call, tell them I declined authorization. Understood. After the call, I sat still for a few minutes. Then I called Grace. She answered on the first ring. "Please tell me you are not crying alone." I froze the card. There was a pause. "What card?" "My business card. Adrian charged the reception vendors to it." Grace said nothing. "Grace?" Her voice came back low. "How much?" I read the alerts. She made a sound I had never heard from her before. Not shock, not anger, something ancient. "Naomi," she said slowly, "put on the dress." I blinked. "What?" "Put on the dress." "No." "Yes." "I'm not going there." "You absolutely are." "I was told not to come, and your credit card was invited instead. We are attending on its behalf." I almost laughed. Almost. I can't walk into that ballroom. Yes, you can, but first call Vivian. Vivian Hart was my attorney, and she had the rare gift of making chaos feel like a file with tabs. When I called, I barely finished the story before she said, "Do not confront him alone." I wasn't planning to. You are planning to go there. I hesitated. Grace shouted from the phone because I had added her to the call. She is going. Vivian sighed. Of course she is. I said. Should I? Vivian was quiet for a moment. Then she said, if you go, you do not scream. You do not threaten. You do not touch anything. You gather information, preserve messages, and leave when I tell you. Will you come? I am already putting on shoes. Grace said, I love this woman. By 7:35 p.m., I stood in front of my mirror wearing the navy dress. Not the soft wife version, the armor version. My hair was still done from the day before. I fixed my makeup carefully, even though my hands trembled. I put on the gold heels, the same shoes Grace had defended. Then I picked up my clutch, my phone, and the bank alert screenshots. Grace arrived in a black dress that looked like it had been designed for legal revenge. Vivian wore a gray suit, no jewelry except pearl earrings. Calm, expensive, terrifying. She looked me up and down. Good. You look controlled. Grace said, she looks like the invoice learned to walk. Vivian ignored her. Naomi, one more thing. The card is tied to Bennett ClearPath. If the charges were knowingly presented as business expenses, we may have corporate misuse issues. My stomach tightened. Corporate? Yes. Do not let anyone convince you this is merely a family misunderstanding. That sentence became another key. Not merely family. Not merely embarrassment. Not merely wedding stress. Misuse. Fraud review. Unauthorized access. Those were words with weight. We drove to Lemaire Grand Hotel in Vivian's car. The city lights blurred past the window. My phone buzzed constantly. Adrian. Patricia. Adrian again. Unknown number. Michael. Adrian. I did not answer. Then a text from Adrian came through. What did you do to the card? Then, Naomi, call me now. Then, the hotel says the charge was declined. This is not the time for your drama. Drama. There it was again. A man could steal fire from your house and call you dramatic for asking why the curtains were burning. Grace read the texts. This man has the nerve of a tax bill. Vivian said, do not respond. I did not. At 8:06 p.m., we arrived at Lemaire Grand Hotel. The entrance was glowing. Valet cars lined the driveway. Women in elegant dresses moved through the doors. Men in tuxedos laughed near the fountain. The lobby smelled like roses, champagne, and expensive decisions. My heart beat so hard I could feel it in my ears. Security stood near the ballroom entrance. 2 men in black suits. Paid for by my card, probably. One of them held a guest list. Name? He asked. I lifted my chin. Naomi Bennett Cole. He checked the list. His face changed. Not much. Enough. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't see. Vivian stepped forward. Try under Adrian Cole's spouse. The guard swallowed. I have Mr. Cole listed as attending alone. Grace smiled. Funny. His wife's card made it in. The guard looked confused. Vivian handed him her card. I am counsel for Mrs. Bennett Cole. We are here regarding unauthorized charges connected to this event. Please ask the event manager to come immediately. The guard's posture changed. Legal language does that. Within minutes, a hotel manager named Mr. Alvarez arrived, polished and nervous. He looked at me with the wide eyes of a man who had already received a call from the bank. Mrs. Cole? Bennett Cole, Vivian corrected. Cardholder and business owner. Mr. Alvarez nodded quickly. Of course. We were trying to reach Mr. Cole because there seems to be an issue with payment authorization. I looked toward the ballroom doors. Music swelled inside. People cheering. A wedding reception in full glory. Paid for, almost, by the woman told not to attend. Vivian said, "Where is Mr. Cole?" Mr. Alvarez hesitated. "In the ballroom. Please ask him to come out." The manager looked pained. "The couple is about to make their entrance." Grace folded her arms. How unfortunate for timing. Mr. Alvarez disappeared inside. I stood in the hallway with my hands clasped around my clutch. My whole body wanted to run, but my feet stayed. A minute later, Adrian came out. His face was furious. Behind him came Patricia, wearing silver and indignation. Then Michael, the groom, still smiling awkwardly as if maybe this could be fixed before guests noticed. And behind them, Cassandra. Of course. She wore deep red. Not white, not bridal, but impossible to ignore. Adrian stopped when he saw me. His eyes moved from my dress, to Grace, to Vivian. "What are you doing here?" I almost laughed at the perfection of it. He had charged my card, then asked why I had arrived. I said, "The bank called." His face tightened. Patricia stepped forward. "Naomi, this is not the place." I looked at her. "You made sure I was not invited to the place. My card was invited anyway." Michael's smile vanished. "What?" Adrian turned to him quickly. "Not now." Vivian addressed Mr. Alvarez. "Please confirm the attempted charges." The manager looked miserable. Several charges connected to the reception package, floral balance, entertainment, cake vendor, and security were attempted on a Bennett ClearPath Business Platinum card. The bank declined further authorization pending cardholder confirmation. Michael looked at Adrian. "You said it was handled." Adrian snapped. "It was." I spoke softly. "No, it was hidden." Patricia raised her chin. "Naomi, the family agreed you would help." I stared at her. "The family agreed?" She faltered. "Yes, we all contribute. I was not invited." Her lips pressed together. "You were emotional about Cassandra," Grace muttered. And yet Cassandra's appetite made the guest list. Cassandra's face flushed. Adrian pointed at Grace. "You need to stay out of this." Vivian stepped between them slightly. "Mr. Cole, lower your voice." The hallway had started to collect witnesses. Guests pretending to check phones. A bridesmaid frozen near the doorway. A cousin holding a drink midair. The kind of audience no one invites but everyone remembers. Michael looked pale. "Adrian, did you use Naomi's card without telling her?" Adrian ran a hand over his face. "It was temporary." I closed my eyes. Temporary. The cousin of every unpaid debt. He continued. "The hotel needed a card on file. Naomi always helps with family events." I opened my eyes. "Helping requires consent." Patricia said, "Don't talk like a lawyer. This is family." Vivian smiled. "Excellent. I am a lawyer. I'll talk like one." Grace whispered, "Amen." Cassandra finally spoke. "Adrian told me Naomi approved the event expenses." Every head turned to her. Adrian's face went dark. "Cassandra." She stepped back. "I'm not lying for this." The hallway shifted. Michael stared at Adrian. "You said she approved?" Adrian looked trapped. "I said it would be fine." "That is not the same thing," I said. He turned to me. "You have more than enough money." The words landed with a sick familiarity. More than enough. The phrase people use when they have already spent what belongs to you. I stepped closer. "So because I have money, I don't need respect?" His mouth opened. Nothing came. Patricia rushed in. "Naomi, do you want to ruin the wedding?" I looked at the ballroom doors. Music still playing. Guests still laughing. A celebration still trying to outrun the truth. "No," I said. "I wanted to attend it as a wife, not finance it as a secret." That silenced even Patricia. Then Mr. Alvarez's radio crackled. He listened, then paled. "Mrs. Bennett Cole, the band is requesting payment confirmation before continuing after the couple's entrance. The floral vendor also has staff waiting for final balance." Michael whispered, "Oh God." The bride appeared then. Lena. Beautiful in her white gown, eyes wide, holding the side of her dress. "What is happening?" Michael turned toward her. Lena, go back inside. No? Why is the manager saying the card declined? She looked at Adrian. Then Patricia. Then me. Her face changed. Naomi? I thought you were sick. I stared at Adrian. There it was. The clean lie. I said, I was told not to come. Lena looked horrified. By who? No one answered. Her eyes moved to Cassandra, then back to Adrian. Oh my God. Michael said, Lena, please. She stepped fully into the hallway. No, did you charge the wedding to Naomi after telling her not to come? Adrian said, it's complicated. Lena's face hardened. My wedding is not a fraud scene, Adrian. Grace whispered, I like the bride. So did I. Lena turned to me. Naomi, I am so sorry. I had no idea. Patricia told us you were unwell and didn't want stress. Patricia gasped. Lena? Lena looked at her. You said that. Patricia's face went tight. I was protecting the day. No, Lena said. You were protecting a lie. The hallway became colder than the ballroom air. Adrian looked at me with rage now. Not shame. Rage. You see what you're doing? I looked at him. I am standing beside the bill you put my name on. That line traveled. I saw people react. A bridesmaid's mouth opened. A cousin looked down. Mr. Alvarez shifted uncomfortably. Vivian said, Mrs. Bennett Cole is not authorizing these charges. Any vendor expecting payment must seek an alternative authorized method from the contracting party. Michael looked like he might faint. Lena turned to him. Did you know? He shook his head quickly. No. Adrian said he and Patricia had arranged the reception balance as a gift. I looked at Patricia. A gift? Her face flushed. My business card had become her gift. I almost laughed from the cruelty of it. Patricia whispered, We plan to repay you. When? Silence. With what agreement? More silence. After excluding me? Patricia's eyes filled. Naomi, don't be cruel. I smiled sadly. Cruelty is using someone's money while removing their chair. Adrian stepped toward me. Vivian moved faster. Do not approach my client. He stopped. The word client seemed to hit him harder than wife. Maybe because wife had been easy to dismiss. Client had representation. Michael turned away and called someone, probably a father, uncle, or rich friend with a functioning card. Lena stood near me. Her hands trembled around her bouquet. I'm sorry, she said again. I believed her. This is not your fault. She swallowed. It feels like my wedding is falling apart. I looked at her. It was built on a charge I never approved. That is not your failure. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Then she turned to Michael. Pay the vendors from our account. Cut whatever we need to cut. No more lies. Michael looked embarrassed, but he nodded. Patricia whispered, Lena, guests are waiting. Lena turned. Then they can wait for something honest. That bride had more backbone in 5 minutes than half the Cole family had shown in 9 years. The band stopped 15 minutes later. Not fully. Just a pause. Guests noticed. Vendors gathered near side corridors. People whispered. The grand entrance happened late and smaller. No fireworks. No extra champagne service. No second floral reveal. The gold chair upgrade was removed from the final invoice. The dessert bar was reduced. The after-party security was canceled. The wedding continued. Less glamorous. More honest. I did not go inside. I did not want to sit at a table where my absence had been planned. I stood in the hallway while Vivian finalized the card dispute notes with Mr. Alvarez. Grace stayed beside me. At one point, Cassandra approached. Adrian watched from a distance. Patricia watched too, furious. Cassandra looked uncomfortable, but determined. Naomi. I looked at her. She took a breath. I knew he was lying to you about some things. I didn't know about the card. I said nothing. She continued. That does not make me innocent. No, I said, it does not. She nodded. I'm sorry. I looked at her red dress. Her perfect makeup. her face trying to become serious enough for accountability. Are you sorry because he lied or because the bank exposed it? She flinched. Fair. Then she said both. That was at least honest. I nodded once. Then stop standing in rooms where my absence makes you comfortable. She looked down. No answer. She went back inside. Adrian came next. Of course he did. He waited until Vivian was speaking with the manager and Grace had stepped aside to answer a call. He stood a few feet away. You made your point. I looked at him. My point? You froze the card, embarrassed everyone, turned Lena against my mother, dragged a lawyer to a wedding. You used my company card. I was going to tell you. When? After the honeymoon? He glared. You always think the worst of me. No, Adrian. I keep discovering worse after hoping for better. His face shifted. Pain, maybe. Or wounded pride wearing pain's coat. He said, This is why I didn't want you here. You don't know how to support me. I stared at him. I supported you so well you started mistaking my support for a payment method. He looked away. I lowered my voice. Did you tell people I was sick? He said nothing. Did you? Yes. And Cassandra? What about her? Are you having an affair with her? His jaw clenched. The music from the ballroom floated into the hallway, soft and distant. People laughed inside. My marriage stood outside with its hands dirty. Adrian said, This is not the time. That was answer enough. I nodded. You're right. The time was months ago. Then I turned away. He grabbed my wrist. Not hard, but enough. I looked down, then back at him. Let go. He did. Immediately. Maybe because Vivian had turned. Maybe because something in my voice told him the next boundary would not be whispered. Vivian walked over. Problem? No, I said. We're done. Adrian looked at her, then at me. This marriage is not over because of one card. I smiled, but it hurt. No, it's over, because you thought the card would work after the marriage didn't. Then I left the hotel. No dramatic entrance. No thrown drink. No speech in the ballroom. Just me walking out in the dress I was told not to wear, while the man who hid me stood behind me with no working card and no clean lie left. That night, I stayed at Grace's condo. I did not cry immediately. That worried her. She made tea. Vivian came too. We sat at Grace's kitchen table with banknotes, screenshots, timelines, and the tired silence of women cleaning up a mess they did not create. Vivian said, We need to separate personal betrayal from financial misuse. I nodded. Can we do both? Yes. Grace placed a folder on the table. I pulled every charge Adrian made on any shared or business card over the last 18 months. I looked at her. You had that ready? She shrugged. I am not new to male audacity. The numbers were worse than I expected. Client dinners that were not clients. Hotel stays during strategy retreats. Gifts categorized as marketing. Luxury rides. Restaurant bills. Event deposits. A spa charge. 2 jewelry purchases. Cassandra's company appeared more than once. My stomach turned. The wedding was not the first misuse. It was the loudest. Vivian reviewed everything carefully. Some charges were gray. Some were clearly improper. All of them told a story. Adrian had not only used my marriage, he had used my business infrastructure to decorate his double life. At 2 a.m., I finally cried. Grace held my hand. Vivian closed the folder and gave me privacy, but stayed. That mattered. The next morning, I went home with Grace. Adrian was there, sitting in the living room, still in yesterday's tuxedo pants and a white shirt, tie gone, eyes tired. He stood when I entered. Naomi. Grace walked in behind me. His face hardened. Does she need to be here? Yes, I said. He looked at me. We need to talk privately. No. This is our marriage. It became company business when you charged my card. He flinched. Good. I went upstairs, packed 2 suitcases, Documents, clothes, laptop, jewelry, Grandma Ruth's scarf, my journal. When I came down, Adrian stood at the bottom of the stairs. "Don't leave like this." I looked at him. How should I leave after paying the final invoice? His face twisted. I made a mistake. No. A mistake is grabbing the wrong card at dinner. You built a system of lies. I was under pressure. From who? My family. Michael, Mom. The wedding budget got out of hand. So you charged the woman you uninvited. He rubbed his face. I panicked. You planned. That silenced him. Because he knew. A panic charge might happen once. A planned deception requires vendors, card details, false approval, and a wife kept at home. He lowered his voice. Please, we can fix this. I wanted to believe that. Not because he deserved belief, because grief looks for exits. But I remembered the hallway, the bank call, Cassandra in red, Patricia saying the family agreed, the word sick, the way he grabbed my wrist. I said, Vivian will contact you. His face fell. You called a divorce lawyer? I called my lawyer. Naomi. I walked toward the door. He said, You're really going to blow up our life over a wedding? I stopped, turned. No, I am ending the part of my life where my absence is requested and my money is expected. Then I left. The separation became public faster than I wanted. The Cole family loved secrecy until secrecy stopped protecting them. Then they loved rumors. Patricia told people I embarrassed the family at Michael's wedding because I was jealous of Cassandra. Michael corrected her. That surprised me. He called me 2 days later. I'm sorry, he said. For what specifically? He paused, then answered properly. For accepting help without confirming it came from you. For believing Adrian when he said you were sick. For letting my wedding benefit from your money while you were excluded. That was more than I expected. Thank you. Lena is furious. She should be. She wants to send you a personal apology. She doesn't have to. She wants to. Lena did. Her message was kind, direct, and clean. No excuses. No family fog. You were wronged at my wedding, and I am sorry you were dragged into our costs without consent. I should have asked why you weren't there. I will not repeat Patricia's version of events. I saved that message. Not because it healed everything. Because in a family of fog, one clear sentence feels like sunlight. Patricia never apologized. Instead, she sent a long message about how I had always made the Cole family feel judged, how Adrian felt unsupported, how Cassandra was a professional woman unfairly maligned, and how money should never matter more than marriage. I replied, Then you should not have spent mine. Then blocked her. Cassandra's apology came later, a week later, longer, more careful. She admitted she and Adrian had crossed emotional lines before the wedding. She said he told her the marriage was basically over. She said she believed him because it benefited her to believe him. That line caught me, because it was the most honest thing she had ever said. I replied, Thank you for telling the truth. Do not contact me again unless Vivian requests documentation. She sent documentation, messages, dates, receipts, photos, enough for Vivian to build a clean timeline. Adrian called her a traitor. Grace said, A mistress with paperwork is still paperwork. The divorce was painful, but not confusing. That was a blessing. Confusion keeps people trapped longer than pain. I had statements, bank records, hotel confirmations, texts, witnesses. Cassandra's documents. The card misuse became part of the financial settlement discussions. Adrian tried to say he intended to reimburse me. Vivian asked for written proof. There was none. He tried to say family expenses were normal in our marriage. Vivian asked why I had been removed from the guest list. No good answer. He tried to say I was too emotional to attend. Vivian produced messages showing he had told me not to come before any alleged emotional reaction. No clean lie survived paper. That became one of the biggest lessons of my life. Paper is not everything, but paper stops people from turning smoke into history. During the months that followed, I rebuilt quietly. I moved into a townhouse near my office, changed passwords, separated accounts, removed Adrian's card access, updated beneficiaries, reviewed every vendor relationship, hired an outside financial auditor, strengthened Bennett ClearPath policies so no spouse, family member, or executive could blur personal expenses into business accounts without approval and documentation. Grace called it the Adrian Clause. Officially, it had a professional name. Privately, everyone knew. No one used company cards for emotional crimes anymore. Therapy helped too. Dr. Elaine listened as I tried to explain why the wedding hurt more than some of the bigger betrayals. She said, because it contained the whole marriage in one event. I frowned. How? You were excluded from the room, used to pay for the room, lied about to the room, and blamed for disturbing the room. I sat there, quiet. Then I cried. Because yes, that was it. The wedding was not just a wedding. It was the marriage. A room I helped build. A table I was not allowed to sit at. A bill with my name on it. A story told without me. Healing came slowly. Some days I felt strong. Other days I missed Adrian. That is embarrassing to admit, but true. I missed the early Adrian. The man who brought soup when I was sick. The man who danced with me in the kitchen. The man who said my ambition made him proud. The problem was that early Adrian had become evidence for current Adrian's defense. I had kept loving the version of him that made the later version harder to leave. Grace once said, "Memories are not marriage vows. You don't have to stay loyal to who he used to be." That helped. The divorce finalized 10 months after the wedding. I returned to my maiden name, Naomi Bennett. The first time I signed it again, I felt like removing a tight shoe after walking miles in pain. Grace took me to dinner that night, not Le Maire Grand Hotel. Never again. We went to a small place with loud music, fried fish, and plastic flowers on the table. Perfect. She raised her glass. To the woman whose card declined and whose life approved. I laughed so hard people stared. Good. Let them. A year after the wedding, Lena invited me to lunch. I hesitated. Not because I blamed her, because the connection hurt. But I went. She looked nervous. "I don't want anything from you," she said quickly. "I know. I just wanted you to know Michael and I paid everything ourselves after that night. We cut what we needed to cut. It was stressful, but honest." "I'm glad." She looked down. "And Patricia is still telling versions. I'm sure. I correct them." That meant more than she knew. Then she said, "That night changed me too." I looked at her. How? I realized how many women's sacrifices are hidden behind family celebrations. Everyone claps at the flowers, but nobody asks whose card paid or whose chair was removed. That sentence stayed with me. It became the beginning of the Open Chair Fund. The idea came slowly. At first, it was just a speech I gave at a women's business luncheon about financial boundaries in marriage and family. I told the wedding story without naming everyone. When I said my husband told me not to come, but my business card attended in my place, the room went silent. Then women began telling me their stories. A wife whose husband used her savings to pay for his sister's engagement party. A daughter excluded from a family reunion she helped finance. A business owner whose relatives used her company card for a church banquet. A woman whose in-laws called her cold because she asked for receipts. A single sister expected to cover weddings, baby showers, birthdays, and rent because she had no family of her own. No family of her own. That phrase made my blood heat. So we created the Open Chair Fund. Not to pay for weddings. Absolutely not. Grace made that rule before I finished explaining. The fund helped women with financial recovery after family exploitation, unauthorized charges, coercive spending, and hidden debt linked to relationships. Vivian offered legal clinics. Grace taught expense boundaries. Dr. Elaine taught shame recovery. Lena volunteered with event contracts, teaching women how to ask, who is actually paying for this? The first workshop was called, Your card is not a substitute for your seat. The room filled. Women cried, laughed, took notes, shared stories. One woman stood and said, I paid for my brother's wedding, and they seated me behind a pillar. Grace whispered, I hope the pillar at least thanked her. We laughed, but the pain was real. Another woman said, My husband used my card for a vacation with another woman and told me it was a business retreat. The room went quiet. I knew that wound. We built tools. Card access checklists, authorized user reviews, business expense policies, emergency freeze steps, shared account boundaries, family event payment agreements, questions to ask before contributing to any celebration. Who invited me? Who asked me? What am I paying? Is this gift voluntary? Is there written agreement? Can I say no without punishment? Am I being included with respect or used from a distance? Simple questions. Powerful questions. Questions I wish someone had placed in my hands before La Mer Grand Hotel. The open chair fund grew faster than expected. Not because I was brilliant, because the wound was common. Too many people had been charged emotionally and financially for rooms that did not honor them. At our first anniversary event, Lena spoke. She stood at the podium and said, My wedding was the night I learned that a beautiful event can still be built on an ugly lie. I cannot undo what happened to Naomi, but I can help make sure other women know that hidden payment is not family unity. I cried in the front row. Michael came too. He kept a respectful distance, which I appreciated. After the event, he said, Adrian still says you ruined the wedding. I smiled. No. The bank saved it from being purchased with theft. Michael nodded. I know. Adrian never apologized properly. He sent messages for a while, some angry, some nostalgic, some regretful, when life with Cassandra did not become the victory he imagined. Yes, they tried to be together for a while. No, it did not last. That is often how it goes. Relationships born in hidden rooms struggle under real light. One message came, on what would have been our 10th anniversary. I wish things had ended differently. I stared at it for a long time, then replied, Then you should have chosen differently before the ending. I blocked that email too. Patricia aged, as we all do. I heard through Lena that she eventually stopped speaking publicly about the wedding because too many people knew the truth. That was enough. I did not need her apology to be free. Cassandra sent one final message years later through Vivian, asking if the Open Chair Fund would accept a donation from her company. Vivian asked me. Grace said, only if the money clears before the apology. I accepted with conditions. No public credit. No influence. No contact. The donation funded a legal emergency grant for a woman whose husband had opened credit cards in her name. Life is strange. Sometimes money connected to pain can still help someone else escape pain. But only when truth handles it. Years later, people still ask about the bank call. They want to know whether my heart raced. It did. Whether I wanted to scream. I did. Whether I regret going to the hotel. Number, I do not. Not because I enjoyed the scene. I did not. But because going there stopped the lie while it was still wearing fresh flowers. If I had stayed home, Adrian and Patricia might have told the story for years. Naomi was sick. Naomi was jealous. Naomi agreed to help. Naomi overreacted later. Naomi made things difficult. Instead, the bank called. The card declined. The hallway filled. The bride heard the truth. The manager had records. The vendors needed payment. The wife arrived. The chair they removed became visible by its absence. That night taught me something I now tell every woman in our workshops. A declined card can be a blessing. A frozen account can be a locked door. A fraud alert can be God, Grandma Ruth, and your bank app forming a committee. Do not ignore the alert. Do not approve charges to keep peace. Do not let embarrassment push your finger toward yes. Ask questions. Freeze the card. Call the bank. Call the lawyer. Take screenshots. Save texts. Let people feel the discomfort of paying for what they ordered. If someone excludes you from the room but includes your money, the problem is not your attitude. The problem is their access. And access can be revoked. If you are listening and you are the family bank, the quiet payer, the woman who gets called when deposits are due but forgotten when seats are counted, please hear me. Your money is not proof of love. Your card is not a family emergency tool. Your business account is not a wedding gift drawer. Your savings are not available because someone else failed to budget. Your generosity does not mean people can lie about you while spending what you built. You are allowed to ask for invoices. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to freeze the card. You are allowed to show up where your name is being used. You are allowed to leave a marriage where your absence is easier for him than your dignity. And you are allowed to rebuild without apologizing for the moment the bank finally caught what your heart had known. Today, I still keep the navy dress. Not because I want to remember Adrian, because I want to remember myself walking into La Mer Grand Hotel with my hands shaking and my spine awake. The gold heels are still in my closet too. Grace calls them the declined transaction shoes. I told her that name was too long. She said betrayal was longer. She won. On the wall of the Open Chair Fund office, there is a framed print with one simple line. Never let your card sit where your chair was removed. Women take pictures of it every week. Some laugh, some cry. Some immediately check their banking apps. Good. My name is Naomi Bennett. My husband said, "Don't come to the wedding." Then he charged my credit card. But the bank called. The card froze. The truth walked into the hallway in a navy dress. And I learned that sometimes the most powerful word in a woman's life is not yes, not sorry, not please. Sometimes it is declined.